AEW All Out took place today, September 20th. So the pre-show had 4 matches. I didn't watch the pre-show, and the main card had 10 matches. So the first match was a tag team match with Adam Copeland and Christian Cage versus FTR. And I will tell you, this match went for 18 minutes, a little over 18 minutes, and I really enjoyed this match. The only thing that I wasn't crazy about was at the end of the match, like the finish, when FTR they took out Christian and then they were beating on Edge. I know his name is Adam Copeland, but to me he will always be Edge. So they were beating on Edge and they hit Edge with I think maybe 3 or 4 double team moves. They spiked him on his head a couple of times. And then the other guy from okay, and then Christian was able to I guess get in the ring to pull one of the guys off of Edge, and then Edge speared one of the members of FTR. I think it was Dax. I can't remember, and they won. They got the 1, 2, 3. So I just feel like the finish was weak because FTR they were beating on Edge, and then he does one move to them. You know, he does the spear, and that was it. So that was kind of flat to me, like that finish. And then also, why are they doing all of this? They didn't have to do all of those moves. And I feel like when Beth Phoenix or Beth Copeland, when she came out and she speared Stokely, and then she carried him out, took him out backstage. I feel like after Edge and Christian hit that finish that they hit, that should have been a match. Or if they wanted to go maybe like another 2 minutes, that would have been fine. But right there, I feel like that's when they should have ended the match. And then we got the aftermath with FTR beating on Edge and Christian. And then also Nick Wayne came out. Nick Wayne, his crew came out. I can't think of the guy's name. So I'm like, all right, was that necessary? All that stuff, that aftermath. So yeah, but like I said, I enjoyed the match. And then this match right here, Eddie Kingston, he defeated Big Bill. This match went for 7 minutes, a little over 7 minutes. The match was okay. Wasn't really crazy about it. I feel like Big Bill, he needs to be pushed, as or put him like in the mid card, maybe like main event. Make him an attraction. He's a big guy. I think they need a big guy that can, dominate and throw people around. I'm not saying he should be the champion right now, but I feel like I don't know. I don't know. But Eddie Kingston, he hit the exploder, and then eventually I think he hit his finisher the first time, and then a couple other stuff things happened after that. And I looked away, and then he hit him. I missed the finish because I looked away, and then Eddie Kingston apparently hit Big Bill with another strike. And I know that the commentators they were saying, "Oh, I don't think he got that." And then Eddie Kingston pinned, Big Bill, and they said maybe he got him on the chin or whatever. So I don't know. Not really a fan of that. Okay, in this match right here, Mark Briscoe versus MJF, I really enjoyed this match. They had a lot that was going on, tables and tacks match. So it was a bloody match, and I'm telling you, I don't know how they took those bumps on those thumbtacks because there's no way I would want to do that. I thought it was just really crazy. So we had, tables and thumbtacks, hence the name of the match. And the guys really went at it. They put a beating on each other. And there was one point where MJF, he was stabbing pretty much Mark Briscoe with the thumbtacks. And I'm like, my goodness, he put it right on top of his or right in his in his forehead. I'm like, man, but pretty much Mark Briscoe, he hit a couple of elbows, and I think he hit his finisher, and he got the 1, 2, 3. So I actually, like I said, I like that match. It was super bloody. A lot of mayhem was going on, and I feel like because you have a match like that, and there were some other matches where we had mayhem, I feel like maybe they did like a little too much with the mayhem or with the craziness in the other matches. And then this match right here, this is a trios match, the Hurt Syndicate versus Ricochet and his gang. I think they're called the I'm trying to think of their name. The Demand. I think it's, yeah, they're called The Demand. So anyway, I thought this was, this wasn't a bad match. This was a decent match. MVP, he didn't look bad at all. He was doing his thing. In the end, I believe it was Ricochet. Yeah, Ricochet got the pin on MVP. So not bad, not bad at all. And I'm trying to think, did something else happen after that? I don't think so. Because like a couple of matches we had, like, the aftermath, so yeah, it was pretty decent. I don't think, I don't know if this storyline is over, or, I don't know if the Hurt Syndicate, if they're going to try to get their revenge. And I feel like I said in my previous video, the Hurt Syndicate should still be the champions. They should still have the tag team titles. I feel like it was a bad decision by taking the titles off of them. All right, this match right here, Mercedes Moné versus Riho. This match went for 16 minutes, and this was for the TBS Championship. I zoned out. I was not even crazy about this match when I first heard about it. I saw, maybe 30% of this match. Mercedes Moné, she hit some kind of, I don't know. I don't know if it's a signature. She hit her signature, and then she hit the moneymaker. And that moneymaker, that move is not, it's sloppy. It looked really sloppy. How she executed that move. I think the move that she hit before, the signature, she should have that as a finisher, because that moneymaker is not really doing the job. But Mercedes Moné, she retained. I'm not crazy about Riho, and I definitely don't like. I'm not crazy about Mercedes Moné, and I definitely don't like Riho. All right, now this next match right here, this was for the AEW Unified Championship. This match went for 21 minutes, and we had Okada, the champion, versus Takeshita versus Dorada. And Dorada, I like this guy. He really entertained me in this match. I think I've probably seen maybe one of his other matches. I'm not really sure. I know I've seen the name, before, but he was just really impressive. But I feel like in this match, I feel like he got a little too much offense, and at times it seemed like this was a handicap match, because he spent most of the time in the ring, and Takeshita would be fighting him, and then Okada would, be fighting him. So they were like taking turns, fighting or competing against Dorada, while the other wrestler was outside of the ring. And with this match right here, I feel like at times when we saw Okada and Takeshita, they would do that staring thing that they do, and then they would like look at each other for like 5 seconds or 10 seconds, and then they would fight. And they did that 3 times, 3 or 4 times. And I'm like, why are you guys doing this? You guys, this is a triple threat match for this championship, the AEW Unified Championship. Why are you guys staring at each other? We know that we know that you guys know each other, and you guys are going to have a one-on-one one of these days. So why are we doing the staring thing? It was just so weird to me. It was really weird. And I will tell you this, Okada is a lazy worker. He is just so lazy. There's no I don't know, he's not intense. There's not a sense of urgency. He's a lazy worker. They needed to take the title off of him. Please have Takeshita win the championship at Wrestle Dream, because Okada, he's a lazy worker, and I don't think he's that good. I really don't. When he first arrived, or when he debuted, with AEW, I was really excited, because, from New Japan Pro Wrestling or whatever, I thought he was, a better worker. He was more intense, but since he's been with AEW, he's just been lazy, so I don't get it. But eventually Okada, he hit his move, the Rainmaker, I think. Is it the Rainmaker, that clothesline? He hit the Rainmaker on Dorada, and he got the 1, 2, 3, so I think, and then also with Dorada, there was a couple of times, and the first time it was it was noticeable the first time, where, Okada and Takeshita, they were in the ring fighting, and then Dorada, he was outside of the ring, and he was standing up at least for like a minute or two, you know, and you could just see him just standing there and just waiting. I'm like, what is this? Like, what is, it's just like, don't make it that obvious that you're waiting for the next move. I didn't, whatever. I didn't like that, but I like Dorada. I really do. So yeah, that's that. And then, this is the coffin match. I missed the beginning of the match. Had to, walked away, got something to eat. Jon Moxley versus Darby Allin. This was just too much. This was just too much craziness. Jon Moxley being stabbed in the ear, being stabbed in the forehead. It's just too much. Like stabbing someone, like that's like, you should go to jail for that. You should be arrested for stabbing someone. Like the whole thing about wrestling, this is supposed to be, a sport. We're supposed to believe that these guys are having a competitive match. And I understand I like hardcore matches as well. I like extreme matches. But when you're doing stuff like stabbing someone, I don't like that. It takes me out of it. I'm just not a fan of that. At one point, Jon Moxley, he told his gang, he told them to leave. He said, I got Moxley. He said, I got Darby Allin. I'll take care of business. So they left, right? And Darby Allin, he hit the Sting. What was Sting's move? I can't think of it. Sting's reverse DDT move. And what's his name? Daniel Bryanson, I believe. I always mix up his name. Yeah. So he had a bag. He gave it to Darby Allin, and Darby Allin, in that bag, there was a plastic bag. So he put the plastic bag over Jon Moxley's head, and he was, beating on him. And then it seemed like, he was going to win the match. And then all of a sudden, Pac makes his return. He takes out Darby Allin, puts him in the coffin, and that was the match. And at first, when Pac came back, because he cut his hair, and I don't know, I guess it was maybe the camera angle, I thought he was like some giant wrestler. I was like, why does he look taller? Maybe it was just me. But Pac is back. And that was just like, what was that? You know what I mean? Why did Moxley have to win? I'm like, man, I thought that Moxley was going to lose and he was going to be off of TV for some time, but that's not the case. And then later on, there was a backstage segment where Moxley told his gang to leave, say, hey, you can leave the arena. I'm going to deal with Darby Allin. Darby Allin, he hit Jon Moxley with a pipe. He was in the coffin, still in the coffin. And then Jon Moxley was above, or he was looking over the coffin or whatever, and then Darby Allin came out and hit him with a pipe or whatever, and then he put him in a body bag, and he put it on fire. But eventually they put it, we had staff back there to save Jon Moxley. They got the fire extinguisher and all that kind of stuff. That was just ridiculous. Why are we stabbing people? Why are we setting people on fire? Why are we kidnapping people in AEW? That kind of stuff has to stop. Like, I'm not a fan of all that extra craziness. It just does not make any sense to me at all. I just don't get it. And then also before, like when Jon Moxley versus Darby Allin, actually, Pac put Darby Allin in a body, put him in the body bag, and then put him in the coffin. So yes, I was just thinking about that. Then the AEW Women's World Championship was on the line in a fatal four-way match. Well, four-way match. This match went for 11 minutes and 55 seconds. So we had Kris Statlander, Toni Storm, Jamie Hayter, and Thekla. So they did some moves. They went at it. And I enjoyed this. I didn't expect this match to be short. I'm not complaining, but I looked away, and I looked away for like 3 seconds, and I looked back, and Kris Statlander, she pinned Toni Storm. So she got the 1, 2, 3 on Toni Storm. So that surprised me because I looked away for like a few, I don't know, 3 or 4 seconds, I don't know. And they said, I looked at the TV, I was like, what? Kris Statlander, she rolled up, Toni Storm, and she got the 1, 2, 3. So I was really surprised by that outcome. And the fans were saying, you deserve it, you deserve it. And I feel like it's been long overdue. But that really surprised me. It really did. So let's see how things go. I wish this match had a better build up. I wish even before this match that they were building up Kris Statlander. And when I say build up, because I feel like she's already been established, but I feel like since she hasn't really, because I'm not sure if she's on, I think she was on AEW Collision a couple of times, and she's been on Dynamite for like maybe like the last 2 weeks, but before 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, she wasn't on Dynamite. So it just seemed like it was out of nowhere to me. So I'm happy that she's a champion, and I hope that they do something really special with her run. And then we had this match. This was this was for the AEW World Tag Team Championship, and it was a four-way ladder match. I missed most of this match. This match went for 24 minutes and 40 seconds. I just zoned out. We had, Brodido, the champions, the Jacksons, the Young Bucks, JetSpeed, and, the Don Callis family. And they did some stuff, but I missed most of this match, and because I just zoned out. I'm like, it's just too much right now for me. But a lot of crazy stuff, with the ladders, with the tables, all that kind of stuff that you expect from this kind of match. Eventually, Brodido, they retain. There's one spot where Bandido, he had a ladder, he was holding it, and then the guys were outside of the ring. And when he did that spot, I'm like, I don't know, because he was holding the ladder and he did like a flip, and the ladder landed on the guys who were outside of the ring, and they they retrieved their titles. And then after that, the Jungle Boy, he made his return, and he beat up the Young Bucks for like, I don't know, a few seconds, and then they beat him up. And then after that, there was a video on the screen, and we see the Jungle Boy. He's in his lab, and he is working on Kill Switch, and Kill Switch is now back. He brought him back. This is a rebirth of Luchasaurus, and then Luchasaurus. We went back to the ring, and then Luchasaurus, he beat up the Young Bucks, and yeah. So I guess we're going back to that, having the Jungle Boy with Luchasaurus. And then we had the main event. This match went for 38 minutes and 10 seconds. I feel like this match it went on way too long. Adam Page versus Kyle Fletcher. I like Kyle Fletcher. I think he has a lot of potential. I think he's going to be a star just as long as he is produced properly. That's the only thing. And then also if he could improve with working on his promos. But some of the stuff that they did, I thought I enjoyed it, but they just go overboard. When you slam someone on their head, or when you do, with Adam Page, with him doing the dead eye and, through a table, and then on the floor, and then in the ring, and then, he had Kyle Fletcher up on the turnbuckle and he hit a dead eye again. And then you have someone that kicks out, the person keeps on kicking out, like the moves don't mean anything. When you just do a bunch of moves back to back and the person doesn't sell, it takes me out of it, because I'm like, okay, you have to do a whole bunch of stuff to take this guy out in order to win. So I don't like all that, craziness. So at first, I enjoy the match, but then when you do all that nonsense, that craziness, I'm not a fan. And there was one point where I think like the first half of the match where they, what happened? Adam Page, he DDT'd Kyle Fletcher on his head, and then within seconds, Kyle Fletcher was back up, and he suplexed Adam Page through a table. So I'm like, you know what I mean? And eventually, not Kyle Fletcher, Adam Page hit what is the name of his move? The Buckshot Lariat, and he pinned Kyle Fletcher. So I just feel like they just did way too much, in that match. I don't know. It's just too much at times. And you know what? Less is more. Make these moves mean something. Because once you do all these crazy moves, tombstones or dead eyes and all that crazy stuff, the other moves, those moves, you're telling me that they don't mean anything if a guy can kick out, and also if he's back up within seconds. So overall with the show, and there's also the other thing, I guess what were they called before? My goodness, the scissor guys. What are they called? What's his name? Bowens and Max Caster. So they're having boyfriend problems as well. We saw them backstage, so I guess they're going to bring them back. The Acclaim. So it seems like they're going to bring them back. I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? Why did you break them up in the first place? And that storyline, with Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, that could have been something, So I don't know. And I feel like overall with the show, there were some matches I really enjoyed, and other matches, like the matches I mentioned, or matches, matches that I discussed, I feel like they did a little too much with the time and not selling and what all these weapons and just too much craziness at times. But overall, it wasn't a bad show. It wasn't a bad show at all. Please take care and have a good one.